Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of The Extra Point. I'm once again here with Callie and Zach, my two football buddies, I guess we could say. Sports
Call
buddies.
each other
We
that.
talk about all kinds of sports.
Yeah,
don't we?
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's rehash a little bit of last week's happenings, which a lot of stuff happened last week. We'll talk high school first. All three teams last week in our local area lost, and for the most part, they lost
So
pretty
terrible
good.
to say.
Coffee County lost 49-28. Franklin County lost 41-7. That was a pretty good beatdown. Tullahoma found a little offense, but still no defense, 54-27. Let's talk Coffee County first. Talk about their loss, and then they're coming up against Riverdale next at Riverdale.
Sure, they lost to Walker Valley 49-28 at home. Turnovers again killed them. They killed them last week, and prior to last week as well. So it's just gonna be able, if they can eliminate those turnovers, if they have a good chance. Riverdale's an interesting team that they face this week. Riverdale's kind of on the upwards men's as far as teams in the Murfreesboro area,
Yeah.
but they're still a pretty good team. They're 1-3 on the season. Their one win came on the season opener, beat down Ottawa 47-14.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but they kept it close the last three games. They lost to Franklin 27-20, lost to Blackman 17-14, and then lost to Hillsborough on the road last week 21-19.
Okay, so all good.
So this is going to be a really tough challenge for Coffee County. Again, they're.
Well, when's the last time you said Riverdale was 1-3 on the season?
It's been a while. I mean, had a down season last year, last year as well. So they're one of those programs that's rebuilding, but they'll rebuild. Obviously, they're that close to rebuilding already.
Well, Hillsborough and Blackman are both ranked, I think, in the top 15 or 20 in the state.
Exactly, and you lose a combined by 5 points to those teams.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk about Franklin County's loss. I can't remember who they were playing, but
They played Mount Juliet,
Okay.
so a very talented Mount Juliet team. They were 1-2 on the season, but that was not an indication of how they were playing. So they came in there and again, consistency is lacking on offense. They were really unable to get anything going offensively through the whole game. Franklin County was. They didn't score until the last minute of the game.
So it was pretty much a whooping.
Pretty much.
You didn't have a lot to color commentate on?
No. They're banged up. They don't have any depth. That's their issue. If one guy gets hurt, it really affects them. So Cameron Yarlett's out probably for the rest of the year, and he's a real key player for them. But I think the overall morale is still good. They're going to go up against Lincoln County this week, and Coach Smith does not like Lincoln County. And this
they're
is
home against
they are
them.
home, and this is their homecoming. Also, the last home game before a 3-week stint on the road. So they're really focused on getting a win. I don't know if they'll get it, but I think we'll definitely see them playing
Who's
hard.
going to win that game, Zach?
I think Lincoln County.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they're so banged up at this point. It would be really hard for them to get a win. However, I wouldn't mind reporting a win. So.
Okay. And Tullahoma's loss, pretty good beat down to Shelbyville.
Pretty good beat
Or
down,
by
Zach.
Shelbyville.
Not as indicative as that score would lead you to seeing. There was one point during the third quarter that it was 26-20 and then 33-27. Tullahoma just has, with this team, makes mental mistakes at crucial times. And that's part of the learning process with such a young team, though. But, I mean, they get to start the second half, they're down 26-13. Pick six by Tullahoma cuts it by Matthew Meadows, intercepts it, returns 65 yards, makes it 26-20. They get the onside kick, march it down to Shelbyville's 4-yard line, and then at the 2-yard line, snap goes over quarterback Chase Dixon's head. He's forced to fall on it on the 16-yard line. Field goal attempt, wide left, and then Shelbyville immediately goes score it. So it's the big plays that's killing them on defense, really. Offense is starting to find its voice. That's the positive.
That's a big swing.
That's a positive.
Yeah,
when you're about to score 7 points,
Exactly.
and then you give up 7 points.
Exactly. And then two additional turnovers in the fourth quarter just kills Tullahoma at crucial moments. So the 54-27 is more self-reflecting on Tullahoma not getting its job done rather than Shelbyville just coming in there.
What about Spring Hill then?
Spring Hill, this is going to be a really tough matchup. Any offensively sound teams Tullahoma's going to have a hard time against because
Yeah.
Tullahoma's defense has let it down. Against Shelbyville, I'm blanking on the kid's name off the top of my head, but that running back ran for 303 yards
Wow,
against
golly.
Tullahoma on just 22 carries. And Spring Hill was loaded with offensive weapons. They're averaging 38 points per contest coming into this one. 3-1 record on the season. Their only loss was a 1 point, 26-25 loss at Page earlier this
Wow.
year.
Okay.
So they're a good good team. I don't see Tullahoma being able to win this
Well,
one. They'll be able to put up points.
We need to move on. Let me ask you, so you don't see Tullahoma winning this game?
No.
You don't see Tullahoma? I
No.
probably don't see them winning this game. Is Tullahoma going to go winless again
No.
this year?
No.
You think they're going to win?
I think there's, for as much good as I've seen with this team and as much bad as I've seen with this team, the good enough has prevailed in my eyes, and I definitely think there's a chance that they host. Excuse me, they got to go to Lincoln County next week. That could be a surprise.
Yeah.
Then in 2 weeks from that, the first weekend and first Friday in October, they go to Lawrenceburg. That's also another
Yeah.
great chance for Tullahoma to win.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk college football now, but before we do, I think the game of the week in high school is going to be Oakland at Blackman this week. Anybody know anything about those two?
No, not really. You probably know more than I do.
Not
They're
a
good.
ton. I don't know. Yeah,
They're both
they're
ranked
good.
in the
They're-
top
Yeah, I know they're
They're
good.
both Rutherford County schools, so you know they're good.
Yeah.
Blackman, obviously, with the new, I believe this is the new head coach's first year. So if I were to give anybody the edge, I might say Oakland might have.
Agreed.
Well, it's at Blackman,
This
so
one.
if anybody gets a chance, I'd say that'd be the game to watch this week. Let's see, guys. We didn't do too good last week on our college football picks.
I went
Well,
500.
pro and college. I went 2-4. Callie 2-4. Zach 3-3. Zach's the overall leader. We won't talk about that very much. Last week's
Notice how
games.
we always talk in depth when it's him.
Tennessee versus Virginia Tech. I still didn't see a whole lot out of Tennessee.
Offensive line is going to kill me. They're terrible, but they're young. And plus, players like Coleman Thomas are playing hurt, a lot more hurt than what we're really seeing. I did see some promise on defense. The most important part of this whole thing is they are finding a way to win. They are making their adjustments where they need to, and they're finding ways to win. Offensively, I think they need to play Kamara more. He needs to have more touches on the ball. Dobbs needs to be able to do more of what Dobbs does best. I think they're trying to put him in a situation where they want him to throw the ball, but he's just not that great of a passer. But there again, the offensive line doesn't give him the time that he needs to pass the ball. So defensively, I like
he's
where
better
we're
when
headed.
he's moving out of the
I
pocket.
do
when he's
too.
moving
Yeah,
around.
I do too. But we've got to be able to pass the ball. We're going to have to get that point
To-
where we're able to do it.
Move on to one of the other games we had picked last week, Arkansas at TCU. We all picked Arkansas. It was a good game.
Yes, it was a great game.
Great game.
I mean, I wish I could watch that game in depth. I was going back and forth, and wow, I'm so proud for those boys. I dread when we play them.
We all picked South Carolina. However, apparently South Carolina is
Sucks, yeah.
Let's watch that. Okay, this is a family show. We have to occasionally get on to Callie.
Yeah.
I think last year she was hoping somebody's leg was going to get.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
I?
right.
Was it Nick Chubb?
No.
Okay.
No.
Lord, I hope that wasn't the case.
Okay, let's get to some of this week's games and some of our picks. Oh, you got a pen? Let me see your pencil. Thank you.
Yeah, this is me, and now you want, and
Yeah,
then you need my
I'll
writing
go.
instrument.
All right, this week, Bama at Ole Miss. What do you think?
Bama.
Bama.
Yeah, I feel good
They're
about
just
this one.
stacked and blazing
Yeah.
right now. I dread them so much when we play them.
I think it's still going to be a lot closer than what.
Maybe so, but I think Bama pulls
Yeah, I
out the
still
win.
think so too.
Okay, Texas at Auburn.
And Texas A&M at
I mean,
Yeah.
Texas A&M at Auburn.
This is going to be a good game.
Yep.
I'm going to say A&M just because I like John Chavis' defense.
I've
but
seen more out of A&M than I
Yeah.
have out of Auburn, so I'm definitely going A&M on this one.
I'm probably going to go with A&M too. However, I think this may come down to a field goal, typical SEC game. We're going to touch base on this one last. Let's go Michigan State at Notre Dame.
I think this is a must-win game for Notre Dame. You know, they coming off that Texas loss, obviously won last week too. But I still think this is a must-win game for Notre
Michigan.
Dame.
Yeah, and both, needing to win. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go with Michigan State because I like the Cowboys better than I do.
And I'm going to go with
What's
Notre Dame.
the mascot? Notre
The Fighting
Dame.
Irish.
Irish, yeah.
Oh, I can think
I
of
think
it.
Notre Dame is. I don't know Michigan State's record. I'm assuming they're probably still.
They had an upset last week, but it was an overtime or it was right there at the end.
Well, who
They
was it
got
that
upset.
lost a game last week because of a blown call?
It was
blown
them.
referee
No,
call?
it
Was it
was
them?
No,
No,
it was
it was-
Oklahoma State that lost last
Yeah.
week.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
Oklahoma State.
And the thing about that game that was like upsetting is like, well, there's nothing we can do. Well, yeah, the play should have never happened, so Oklahoma State's the winner.
Yeah, but then
I
you
mean-
also then you go back to the 1990s with Colorado and Nebraska.
Well,
and
they
the
never
fifth
should have
down
got an
happening.
extra fifth down.
No, they shouldn't
The
have,
game should have been
but-
over.
But you could make the case then. So.
Okay, USC at Stanford.
Stanford.
Man, I hate that we're agreeing on everything so far. Actually, no, take that back. We just disagreed on the last one. But I'm going Stanford as well because I like Christian McCaffrey
Yeah.
back there. He's a great all-around player. Does it on the rushing side. Does it on the special teams department.
I didn't go. I actually went to Notre Dame. I'm kind of like you. Their backs against the wall. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail to get this game won. I'm going to go Stanford as well. Before we go to probably the game of the week, FSU at Louisville. I think this one could be a
Oh,
surprise.
this is going to be a great game.
This is going to be a good one. Last time Florida State traveled to Louisville was Halloween night a couple years ago whenever Jameis Winston was
Yeah.
quarterbacking for them. And yeah, it was a great game then. Winston led them back, and I think this is going to be another one of those games. And from the resiliency that I've seen from Florida State's quarterback early on against Ole Miss, whenever Ole Miss had its second half collapse earlier this year. So I'm going Florida State in this one. I feel confident.
Yeah, I think the smarter choice is to do Florida State, although I think Louisville is going to give them all they want and more. And I need to bump my stats up in the overall.
Well, I'm going to bump my stats up as well, and I'm going with Louisville because I think Louisville's going to pull off a
Wow,
surprise.
wow.
At home, a lot on the table. This to them is their Super Bowl. I mean, they have to win this game.
They're
to
a
have
good team,
any
though.
chance to
Oh, yeah.
be looked at, for that
But Louisville's,
playoff.
yeah,
So,
I think Louisville's a great team.
I think, and considering how many yards they can put up, so
Well, they shut down the quarterback. That's what I worry about.
I think
but-
Ole Miss beats Florida State if they play two halves.
Oh, yeah, I totally
I
agree
mean,
with that, yeah.
So, okay, the game of the week in college is going to be Ohio State at Oklahoma.
Oh, that's a game of the week, but all right.
Well, I mean, it's the top. I mean, Oklahoma
They're
has the loss right
well-known
now,
teams, and Ohio's, yeah, we're not going to go there. Okay, let's just pick.
but Who do you think's going to
Oklahoma, I'll never pick Ohio State.
This is how our stats don't get padded.
Exactly.
Well, I'd rather be on the...
But I think Oklahoma has their back against the wall.
They
kinda like
do.
Notre Dame
They
does, so.
need to win this one. So Boomer Sooner
Yay,
all day long.
Making Boomer Sooner.
Making Boomer Sooner.
Okay. If they lose to Ohio State, they will have 2 losses on the year. Basically, their season,
Yeah,
I
I
would
don't
say,
see
be
Stoops
over.
allowing for that, but...
But Ohio State's going to be good. It's going to be a tough game. I'm going with Ohio State. And I don't like Ohio State.
Huge
I
eye roll.
promise you. All right. We got to start rolling it up. Last week, one of our picks was Tennessee Titans versus the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but by half, we were looking really good.
Yeah, 10-0 at halftime. I'm thinking everything's good. They're gonna roll to a win.
And we all picked the Titans.
Yep.
And we all got,
And that's why we're...
and we all didn't help pad our
But
stats.
here's the most shocking thing. We talked about prior to the preseason that it was the defense that was letting them down.
And
How about the offense just not turning the ball over multiple times?
Yeah, defense
allowing,
did well.
Defense did well.
I don't think
but
you can get one and then the
whenever
other.
you
It's
give
never
them a
going to be
short-
everybody doing their thing.
This is what did I write down here? Same
Same
old
old
Titans.
Same old Titans.
So,
And,
is that what we're going to expect this year?
Probably.
well, hopefully the defense is.
Well,
as
you
good
know,
as
the thing-
advertised.
I
The
think
defense played pretty well against Minnesota, but whenever the offense gives them short fields and has multiple pick sixes in the game,
The
there's
thing that disappointed me, I think, the most was actually Mariota.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he
exactly-
killed the team. It was basically his turnover with the running back. He was basically moving down to be in scoring position and then throwing a pick six.
Yep.
And it just,
It's-
Mariota
Those
let his
mistakes that
team
turn
down.
into huge wins.
Exactly.
And I know he's in his second year, but he's being touted as the future.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
got to be.
Everybody was
Yeah.
touting him before the preseason, saying he's way above the he's
He's above the
himself.
learning curve.
Exactly.
And he's, but, and everybody's entitled to have one of those games.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of frustrated Titans fans out there. They want to see the team win.
Mm-hmm.
You got a Minnesota Vikings who lost their quarterback 2 weeks prior. this is
It
where
really felt like it would have been a really good situation for them.
this is
to
one of those
win.
games you win to
Yeah,
have that 8-8
exactly.
season. So,
Exactly.
with that being said, Tennessee Titans, please turn it around. We'd like to talk good about you.
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
It's gonna be a tough one this week too.
So,
'Cause
and
they
I have
two
tickets to
Detroit.
go see one of the games.
Yeah.
So later in this season, that would be nice.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, one of the games I was surprised about was New England beating. Well, Denver beat Carolina.
Yeah,
That was a
a little bit
surprise.
Yeah, I heard the reps were a little.
well, it depends on
What
that's
side
a-
you're on? Well, you know
Well,
me, I don't
guys,
like
our
seeing King cry.
producer over here is giving us the finger to wrap it up, not that. So, but anyway, we appreciate you guys joining in. Once again, I'm Joe Martin. I'm here with Callie and Zach. You can reach Callie at,
NewsGal27.
or you can reach Zach at.
Zach Birdsong on Twitter, no spaces in between.
Once again, let these guys know what you think about them and how they're doing. Let us know if you like the show. If there's any topics you want to discuss, just give us a call here at the Tullahoma News or one of our local affiliate papers.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.